If this video appeared for you right now, it is not random scrolling, it is not coincidence, and it is not the algorithm playing games. This is a transmission, a signal that found you because of the frequency you are carrying in this exact moment. You didn't just arrive here, you were called by the Atlantean Code of Remembrance, a sacred vibration hidden for ages, waiting for the exact souls who could hear it. And if these words stir something inside your bones, it means you are standing at the threshold of awakening. Think about it. Out of millions drifting through content right now, only a fraction, less than 1%, are attuned enough to stop here, to feel the pulse behind these words, to recognize that this message is not information, it is initiation. And you are one of them. Not by chance, not by luck, by divine timing. The Atlanteans knew that when a soul was ready to awaken, a portal would open. Not in the sky, not in the earth, but within. That inner doorway is opening for you now, and once it opens, nothing will ever look the same again. This is not entertainment. This is remembrance. This is the invisible code stirring inside you, realigning your destiny, reorganizing your timeline. It is the flame of Atlantis reigniting in your soul, a flame that no ocean of forgetfulness could ever extinguish. Atlantean Resonance Protocol, Seal 1. 30 seconds to anchor retention and energy. Close your eyes for a moment. Inhale slowly through your nose. Hold and exhale through your mouth, releasing all tension. Now, place your right hand over your heart. Whisper softly on the exhale, "I am the flame of Atlantis. I remember." Feel how the words vibrate, not just in the air, but in your bones. You have just opened the first seal. So, breathe deeply, stay present, because what you are hearing now is not a story, it is a summons, a vibration collapsing probability into destiny. And before this transmission ends, you will be invited to anchor this remembrance fully, with words, with breath, with declaration, so the quantum field itself recognizes your choice. You were chosen to remember. You were chosen to awaken. And the fact that you are here proves it.
Chapter 1. The void is sacred preparation. Most people fear the void. They look at silence and cull at emptiness. They see unanswered prayers, closed doors, delayed dreams, and they think the universe has abandoned them. But the Atlanteans taught a secret that only initiates were allowed to know. The void is never absence. It is sacred preparation. In their temples, seekers were guided into chambers carved from living stone. No light, no sound, no comfort, only their own heartbeat echoing in the dark. For days they sat in stillness, trembling, believing they had been forgotten. But what they found was not abandonment. It was the incubation of remembrance. The void was their teacher. The silence was their initiation. Think about it. The ocean always withdraws before it returns as a powerful wave. The seed remains hidden beneath the soil before breaking into the light. The womb rests in stillness before the contractions of new birth. Even your breath pauses for an instant between inhale and exhale. Nothing is ever wasted. What looks like stillness is gestation. What feels like delay is the architecture of destiny rearranging itself. Modern physics has a name for this mystery: the zero-point field, a vacuum that appears empty yet is alive with infinite possibilities, particles blinking in and out of existence faster than the eye can detect. It looks like nothing, but it is the richest nothing in existence. The Atlanteans called it the womb of the goddess, the hidden temple where galaxies gestate before bursting into stars. So if you are in silence now, if doors have closed, if the prayers you whispered have not yet echoed back, do not despair. This is not punishment. This is orchestration. This is the quantum field recalibrating, reordering your timeline, preparing the coordinates of your next reality. You are not behind. You are between breaths. You are in the holy pause before remembrance. The void is not here to break you. It is here to shape you, to hollow out the space in which the miracle can land without resistance. And when the silence ends, when the breath exhales, your new reality will not arrive slowly. It will collapse into you, like a temple door opening after centuries of waiting. So, rejoice if you feel forgotten. Celebrate if you feel delayed. Because the Atlanteans knew, the darker the stillness, the closer the dawn. Atlantean activation. Anchor this truth into the field. Declare it with your voice or write it in the comments. The void is my sacred womb of creation. I trust the silence. I remember. Chapter 2. The Collapse Point. In the language of modern quantum physics, everything exists in superposition, infinite realities suspended together until consciousness observes and chooses. The Atlanteans already knew this truth. They called it the collapse point, the moment when invisible patterns crystallize into visible stone, when thought becomes world, when the inner frequency of the soul commands the universe to obey. Think carefully about your journey. Every meditation you entered, every vision you held in silence, every choice of faith when fear was screaming at you, all of it has been converging here. The Atlanteans taught that nothing is wasted in the field. Every act of trust, every whisper of remembrance, every flame carried in the darkness becomes weight in the scale of destiny. And now the scale has tipped. You are standing at the event horizon of your becoming. This is not poetry. This is physics. Just as a star collapses under its own gravity into a black hole, a point of no return, so too does your reality collapse into its new form. Once the threshold is crossed, the old cannot hold you anymore. The collapse point is both an ending and a beginning. It is the silent instant when the quantum field reorganizes itself with absolute inevitability. And this is why you feel the pressure building in your life, why synchronicities are multiplying like echoes from the future, why everything seems to press against you with intensity. It is not chaos, it is convergence. Your frequencies are locking. Your timelines are merging. The Atlantean Code is activating. And your destiny is already collapsing into clarity. In Atlantis, the priests described this moment as standing before the portal of remembrance. On one side, the familiar, the known, the comfortable, the past. On the other, the radiant unknown, the new design written by your soul before birth. Crossing is not optional. Once the collapse begins, there is no going back. The field does not ask for permission. It obeys coherence. So understand this. You are not waiting for alignment. You are alignment. You are not chasing destiny. You are the frequency that bends reality itself. At the collapse point, you don't push reality into form. You become the magnet of inevitability. Atlantean activation: anchor this collapse into the field now. Write it. Speak it. Let the quantum field hear your vow. I collapse into the highest version of my reality. The Atlantean Code is alive in me.
Chapter 3: Why Most Fail at the Threshold. Here lies the paradox of manifestation. Most seekers do not fail at the beginning, when excitement is fresh. They do not fail in the middle, when the path is heavy. They fail at the threshold, in the very moment when the miracle is closest, when the portal is already opening, when the quantum field is ready to collapse into form. Why? Because at the threshold, the guardian of doubt appears. This force whispers the same words across every culture, every lifetime, every initiation. Are you sure? What if nothing is happening? What if you've been forgotten? Most souls panic here. They tighten their grip on life. They refresh their phones. They scan their bank accounts. They beg for signs that the unseen is working. But the very act of searching for proof tells the field, "I do not believe." And the field always mirrors what you declare. Instead of collapsing into a higher reality, they collapse back into limitation. The Atlantean initiates knew this danger. In their training, before stepping into the inner temple, they would face symbolic guardians carved in stone, half serpent, half human, eyes of fire. These statues were not decorations, they were mirrors. They reminded the initiate, if you carry doubt in your heart, you will never pass through the portal of remembrance. The final phase of manifestation is not effort, it is not control, it is surrender. Just as the seed does not check if it is growing, the tide does not beg to return, and the heartbeat does not wait for permission to pulse. Your destiny does not need your proof, it needs your trust. Modern science echoes this truth. The quantum field does not respond to frantic measurement. It responds to coherence. When your nervous system relaxes into inevitability, the field recognizes your signal and aligns reality around you. Doubt is static, faith is frequency, and surrender is the bridge. This is why the threshold feels both terrifying and sacred, because it is the point where your old identity dies, where your control dissolves, where you must leap without wings and trust that the field itself will carry you. Most fail here, but you will not. The very fact that you are hearing these words means your soul was chosen to receive the Atlantean Code of Surrender. So breathe deeply. Recognize the guardian of doubt for what it is, the final mirror, the last illusion. It has no power once you remember. The Atlanteans inscribed it in their temples. The portal opens only for those who release. Atlantean activation. Declare it now so the quantum field hears you. I surrender to the intelligence of the universe. I cross the threshold with trust. I remember. Chapter 4: Entanglement of Soul and Desire. In the language of quantum physics, there is a mystery called entanglement. When two particles meet and connect, they remain bound forever. No matter the distance, across oceans, across galaxies, across the folds of time itself, touch one and the other responds instantly. The Atlanteans already knew this truth. They called it the thread of remembrance,
a luminous cord of light binding your soul to the reality it was destined to embody. This thread does not break, does not weaken, does not fade. It vibrates across lifetimes, across incarnations, across forgotten temples and hidden memories, always pulling you toward what is already yours. This is the secret. Your desires are not random wishes floating in the air. They are already entangled with you. They vibrate with you, mirror you, follow you like a shadow of light. You are not chasing them. You are remembering them. You are not reaching for something outside. You are aligning with something already woven into your destiny. But here lies the paradox. When you obsess, when you grasp desperately, you stretch the thread with tension. You tell the quantum field, it is far away and I must pull it closer, and so it feels far away. The energy of desperation scrambles the frequency, filling the signal with static. When you shift into receiving, the thread relaxes, the signal clears, the resonance begins. Like two instruments tuned to the same sacred note, when one sings, the other vibrates instantly. That is how your destiny responds when you remember. The Atlantean priests taught this in the Temple of Resonance. They would sit before walls of crystal and breathe into stillness. They did not beg for abundance. They did not chase love. They simply aligned with the thread that was already humming in their soul. And as their vibration rose, the crystal walls would shimmer, amplifying their frequency into the field. Reality collapsed effortlessly, like a mirror obeying its reflection. So understand this: every dream, every vision, every hidden desire in your heart has been connected to you since the moment it was conceived. It is not outside of you. It is already bound to you. The only task is to remember the thread, relax into resonance, and allow the inevitable to arrive. Atlantean activation. Anchor this truth now. Declare it in the comments or whisper it into the field. I am already entangled with my destiny. I tune to the thread of remembrance. I remember.
Chapter 5. The identity of the receiver. Most people live trapped in the wrong identity. They wake up each morning as seekers, asking, will it happen? Will I be chosen? Will the universe finally give me a sign? But hope still vibrates with distance. Hope whispers, it is not here yet. The Atlanteans recognized this trap. That is why their initiates were trained not to hope, not to beg, but to embody the receiver. They learned to walk, breathe, and move as if the treasure of the temple had already been placed in their hands. Because identity is the true frequency, and the quantum field does not respond to what you want. It responds to who you are. Think of it this way. A king does not question if his throne exists. A priestess does not doubt whether the temple doors will open for her. They do not chase what is theirs. They stand in coherence with it. They carry themselves with the quiet authority of inevitability. Their very identity collapses waiting into arrival. Modern science is beginning to confirm what the Atlantean priests always knew. The nervous system cannot distinguish between vividly imagined reality and lived experience. When you embody the state of the receiver, your body believes it is already done. Neural pathways shift, hormones adjust, your electromagnetic field radiates coherence, and the quantum field obeys. This is the heart of Atlantean training. In the halls of the temples, initiates would practice identity coherence daily. They did not sit in circles hoping for miracles. They walked the marble corridors as receivers of abundance, love, wisdom. They carried the vibration of already in their bones until the walls themselves began to shimmer with resonance. The Atlantean Code whispers across time, do not manifest, remember. You are not chasing, you are not waiting, You are not incomplete. You are the receiver of miracles, and the field must respond to the frequency you embody. So I ask you, what would shift if you stopped calling yourself the seeker and began walking as the chosen? How would your breath change? How would your voice sound? How would you move through the world knowing the portal has already recognized your name? The moment you claim this identity, your timeline reorganizes, waiting collapses, arrival accelerates. Because the universe does not hesitate when coherence is present. It obeys identity. Atlantean activation. Anchor this now. Speak it with conviction. I walk as the receiver of miracles. I embody remembrance. I am chosen.
Chapter 6. The Atlantean Silence Before Birth. There comes a moment on the path of every soul when the world seems to stop. The prayers grow quiet, the signs vanish, the synchronicities fade into stillness. And the human mind begins to whisper, maybe nothing is happening. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I have been forgotten. But the Atlanteans taught that this silence is not abandonment. It is the sacred pause before birth. Look at nature. The forest grows still before the storm breaks. The sky holds its breath before the first rays of dawn ignite the horizon. Even the womb rests in silence before the contractions of new life. What feels like emptiness is not absence, it is pregnancy. It is the hidden swelling of destiny, invisible but unstoppable. Modern physics calls this mystery the vacuum state, a place that seems empty but is saturated with unseen energy, a space where infinite possibilities vibrate beneath the threshold of perception. To the Atlantean priests, it was known as the breath of the goddess, the divine inhale before creation, the hush of the cosmos before the sound that calls worlds into being. This silence is the holiest of thresholds. It is the Atlantean stillness of remembrance, where the quantum field reorganizes threads of reality behind the curtain. People are being shifted into place. Timelines are being rewritten. Invisible doors are being carved into the stone of destiny. You cannot see it yet, but the orchestration is in motion. And here is the paradox. The silence feels like death, but it is actually gestation. It feels like delay, but it is divine synchronization. It feels like nothing, but it is the quantum stillness that guarantees everything. So if you are in silence now, do not panic. Rejoice. It means the universe is inhaling on your behalf, gathering force for the exhale of your awakening. It means the Atlantean Code is aligning behind the veil, preparing your remembrance. The silence before birth is not your enemy. It is your proof. Proof that birth is near. Proof that awakening is inevitable. Proof that the flame within you has already been recognized by the field. Atlantean activation. Anchor this truth by declaring it aloud or writing it in the comments. In stillness, I trust the coming birth. I breathe with the goddess. I remember. Chapter 7. Frequencies of Remembrance. Everything in the universe vibrates. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every emotion that stirs in your chest, all of it is a frequency. Modern science has only begun to measure what the Atlanteans already mastered. They built temples of quartz and granite because stone amplifies vibration. They sang into crystal chambers because sound codes reality. They aligned their breath with the rhythm of the sun because they knew When frequency is coherent, the field responds. The Atlanteans called this the frequencies of remembrance. They understood that you are not here to learn something new. You are here to remember the vibration you already carry in your soul, the resonance of love, the harmony of joy, the pulse of abundance. These are not foreign to you. They are the tones of your Atlantean lineage, written in the DNA of your spirit. Think of reality like a cosmic radio. The music of your destiny is already playing. You don't create it from nothing. You simply tune your temple to the right station. Gratitude, love, joy, these are the dials that align you to the channel of remembrance. Fear, doubt, despair, these are static, pulling you off frequency. And here is the mystery. The moment you choose gratitude, you are not just being positive. You are literally shifting your electromagnetic field. You are changing your broadcast to the quantum field. You are saying, this is the signal I carry, and this is the timeline I choose. The field does not argue. It simply reflects. In Atlantis, initiates would chant in unison until the very air trembled with sacred tones. The crystals embedded in the walls would begin to glow, amplifying the sound into the quantum fabric of reality. They knew that when hearts beat in coherence, the field itself bent around them. The song was not performance, it was technology of remembrance. So remember this. You are already an instrument of the divine. Every breath is a note. Every thought is a tone. Every emotion is a frequency broadcast into the cosmos. The more you return to gratitude, to love, to remembrance, the more your temple hums in resonance with the destiny that is already yours. Atlantean activation. Anchor this truth into the field now by declaring, I tune my temple to the frequency of love. I remember my Atlantean song.
Chapter 8. Chaos is the reorganization. If your life feels unstable right now, if structures you trusted are crumbling, if doors are closing faster than they open, if everything seems to be dissolving into uncertainty, do not mistake this for failure. The Atlanteans taught a truth few could hold without trembling. Chaos is not the end. Chaos is the reorganization. Before every initiation in the Atlantean temples, the old order had to collapse. Walls were shaken, flames were lit, symbols were broken apart so they could be rewritten with higher codes. Why? Because the new cannot be built on foundations that no longer serve the soul. Destruction is not punishment, it is purification. Look at nature. The storm tears through the sky, but only to clear the air for sunlight. The earthquake shifts the earth, but only to carve rivers that never existed before. The forest burns, and from its ashes, new life rises stronger, richer, more alive than what came before. Physics calls this a phase transition, when a system passes through apparent disorder before reorganizing into a higher state. Water must boil chaotically before it becomes vapor. A caterpillar must dissolve into formless chaos before it emerges as a butterfly. Your life is no different. The Atlantean Code is alive in your field, dismantling what no longer belongs to you. The quantum field is reorganizing your reality, breaking apart structures too small to carry your destiny. The chaos you feel is the signature of awakening, the signal that breakthrough is near.
And this is why surrender feels terrifying and liberating at once. Because deep down, your soul already knows the truth. The breakdown is not the end. It is the clearing. It is the fire that refines gold. It is the lightning that splits the sky to reveal a higher dawn. So instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this clearing space for?" Because behind the chaos, sacred order is already waiting. Behind the storm, the sky is already blue. Behind the noise, a new temple is already being built within you. The Atlanteans left this reminder etched into crystal walls. Do not fear the collapse. It is the hand of the goddess reorganizing the field. Atlantean activation. Anchor this remembrance by declaring aloud or writing it in the comments. I trust the storm, for it builds my new order. I surrender to the reorganization. I remember.
Chapter 9. The Atlantean Identity Training. The Atlantean priests knew a secret that modern seekers often overlook. Reality does not respond to effort, rituals, or endless words. Reality responds to identity. Most people live as seekers. They vibrate with waiting, hoping, trying. Their nervous systems carry the imprint of effort, not arrival. And so the field mirrors exactly what they embody, endless striving without fulfillment. But the Atlanteans trained their initiates differently. In the marble corridors of the temples, identity was everything. They called it coherence training, the art of aligning body, mind, and soul with the destiny already written in the quantum field. Every morning, initiates walked the halls not as beggars of miracles, but as receivers of abundance. They moved as kings, queens, healers, and guardians long before their crowns or staffs were given. They sat in stillness, not asking, "Will it happen?" but remembering, "It is already within me." Modern neuroscience now confirms what the ancients embodied. The nervous system cannot distinguish between vivid imagination and lived experience. When you breathe, walk, and act as if the miracle is already here, your brain rewires, your hormones shift, your electromagnetic field broadcasts coherence, and the quantum field must answer. Identity is not performance, it is vibration. A king does not force the throne into being, he carries the throne in his posture. A priestess does not demand the temple to open, she enters because the temple already recognizes her. Identity is the key that unlocks reality. The Atlantean Code of Identity whispers through time, "Do not become what you want, become who you already are." When you embody the frequency of remembrance, reality bends. Waiting collapses. Timelines reorganize. Because the field does not obey effort, the field obeys coherence. So ask yourself now, how would you breathe if you knew you were already chosen? How would you move if the universe had already written your name in the temple of destiny? How would you speak if every word you carried shaped worlds? The moment you choose that identity, you activate the Atlantean training that few ever complete. Atlantean activation. Anchor this shift into the field. Declare with power, "I am already who I was meant to become. I embody the Atlantean frequency of remembrance."
Chapter 10. Timeline Synchronization. Right now, something extraordinary is unfolding in your field. Your current reality and your desired reality are beginning to vibrate in harmony. Modern physics calls this phase locking, when two oscillating systems, once separate, begin to synchronize until they beat as one. The Atlanteans called it the merging of suns. the sacred moment when parallel timelines align and the portal between them dissolves into a single doorway. You have felt this, that strange pressure in the air, the synchronicities multiplying beyond chance, the conversations that arrive at the exact moment you needed them, the signs too perfect to ignore. This is not coincidence, it is synchronization. In Atlantis, initiates were taught to listen for the signature of merging timelines. It was not a trumpet, not a shout, but an inner stillness, a silence laced with inevitability. The calm before the shift, the heartbeat that knows change is no longer optional. They called it the breath of remembrance, the moment the future self exhaled into the present body. Here lies the mystery. When your thoughts, emotions, and body enter coherence, the quantum field tunes itself to your highest frequency. Two versions of you, the one waiting and the one awakened, begin to overlap. What once felt distant begins to stand face to face with you. You are not chasing your destiny, you are synchronizing with it. This is why your dreams feel closer now than ever before, why opportunities appear as if someone invisible is arranging them, why even random encounters seem orchestrated by a higher hand. Because your timelines are weaving into one. The old reality is dissolving. The new is arriving with the certainty of dawn after night. The Atlantean priests described this as the locking of the soul. Once the timelines fused, there was no separation between present and future. The initiate became the remembrance, became the flame, became the code. The past dissolved like mist in sunlight, and only the radiant self remained. So understand, you are standing in synchronization. You are breathing the air of inevitability. The Atlantean code within you is tuning your frequency to the highest octave of your destiny. There is no more waiting. The field has already chosen. Atlantean activation. Anchor this alignment by declaring, I lock into the frequency of my highest timeline. I synchronize with remembrance. I remember.
Chapter 11. The Atlantean Tunneling. There is a mystery in quantum physics that still leaves scientists astonished. It is called quantum tunneling. When particles cross barriers they should never be able to pass. Walls that seem solid dissolve. Boundaries that appear absolute vanish. What should be impossible becomes inevitable. The Atlanteans practiced this truth not as theory, but as living initiation. They called it the hidden passage. To the untrained eye, the stone walls of the temple looked immovable, but to the initiate vibrating in remembrance, the wall was never solid. It was a veil, and veils are meant to be crossed. This is what is happening in your life right now. The obstacle you keep hitting, the limitation that whispers, not for you, not yet, the pattern that has repeated again and again. These are the walls of your personal temple. They look final, they feel heavy, but the Atlantean code within you knows the truth. What looks permanent to the senses is fluid to the soul. In the ancient training, initiates were guided to raise their frequencies so high that the barrier dissolved before them. They did not break it with force. They did not beg for it to move. They simply remembered their identity, aligned with the hidden passage, and walked through as if the wall had never existed. This is the essence of Atlantean tunneling. Not fighting the obstacle, but vibrating beyond it. And this is why breakthroughs so often feel sudden.
One moment you are trapped in the same cycle, the next the cycle is gone. Not shattered slowly, but erased, as if it never was. Because when remembrance awakens, the quantum field does not negotiate with walls, it rewrites them. So do not despair when you meet resistance. Smile when you feel blocked. Because walls are not evidence of failure, they are proof that the hidden passage is near. Every barrier is a mirror, waiting for you to realize that the impossible is nothing more than the field asking you to vibrate higher. The Atlantean initiates left us a code. The impossible is the final disguise of the inevitable. And now you stand before your wall, not to fight it, not to surrender to it, but to tunnel through it into freedom, into awakening, into remembrance of who you are. Atlantean activation. Anchor this truth now. Declare with certainty, I tunnel beyond illusion. I dissolve the impossible. I remember the hidden passage.
Chapter 12. The Call of the Future Self. Every synchronicity you have experienced, every déjà vu that felt like a memory from another lifetime, every sudden knowing that made no logical sense, none of it was random. These were not accidents. They were transmissions. They were the echo of your future self calling you back into remembrance. In the quantum field, all versions of you already exist. The struggling self, the waiting self, and the self who has already awakened, already remembered, already embodied the Atlantean Code of Remembrance. That awakened self is not a dream, it is a frequency, and it has been reaching across time, guiding you step by step, pulling you into alignment. The Atlanteans taught that destiny does not wait passively. Destiny calls. It rearranges your path with signs, nudges, and synchronicities only your heart can recognize. Every time you felt drawn to a place without reason, every time you trusted intuition against logic, every time you said yes to a whisper inside, you were listening to your future self. Think of it, that quiet voice telling you, this way, not that way, that unexpected encounter that opened a door, that dream that lingered in your mind like prophecy. These were not fantasies. They were your future self saying, come home, remember who you are, merge with me now. The Atlanteans inscribed this mystery in crystal walls. The awakened one and the awakening one are the same soul across two moments of time. When you sense déjà vu, it is not repetition, it is overlap. When you feel guided, it is not imagination, it is communication. When you surrender to synchronicity, you are collapsing into the highest version of your destiny. And this is why the call feels stronger now than ever before, because the timelines are collapsing. The veil between who you are and who you are becoming is dissolving. Your future self is not far away. It is here. It is now. It is you. Atlantean activation. Anchor this guidance by declaring, my future self is guiding me now. I merge with the echo of remembrance. I remember.
Chapter 13. The Atlantean Vacuum State. There is a place in the journey where everything falls silent. The signs fade. The synchronicities pause. The answers do not come. It feels like a heavy emptiness pressing against your soul. Most people break here. They think the dream has died. They mistake the silence for death, the stillness for abandonment. But the Atlanteans knew better. They taught that this silence is not the end. It is the Atlantean vacuum state, the most fertile pause in creation. Modern physics calls it the zero-point field, a vacuum that appears empty yet hums with infinite potential. Virtual particles blink in and out of existence faster than the eye can see, carrying invisible energy that shapes the cosmos. To ordinary senses, it looks like nothing, but in truth, it is the richest nothing in existence, the womb where worlds are born.
The Atlantean priests named it the breath of the goddess. They understood that before creation there is always stillness, the inhale before the exhale, the pause before the word, the silence before the song that births galaxies. And only those who could remain faithful in this vacuum were entrusted with remembrance. This is where you are when life feels suspended, when doors close and nothing moves. You are not abandoned, you are being held in the sacred womb of the field. Behind the veil, timelines are being rearranged, people are being positioned, opportunities are being woven into alignment. The orchestration is too vast for your eyes to perceive, but it is alive and it is precise. The Atlanteans considered this state the holiest of initiations. They knew that only those who trusted the silence could carry the full weight of remembrance. Because the vacuum does not strip you of destiny. It saturates you with unseen design. It is the space where your soul gathers power, coherence, and frequency to step into the timeline that was always yours. So do not fear the nothingness. Celebrate it. For if you feel surrounded by silence, it means you are in the temple of creation itself. It means the universe has placed you in the womb where new realities are conceived. It means your soul has been found worthy of the sacred pause before rebirth. Atlantean activation. Anchor this remembrance by declaring, "The void is my temple of creation. I rest in the 0-point field. I remember."
Chapter 14. The Collective Awakening. Your awakening was never meant to serve you alone. Every vibration you lift, every memory you recover, every surrender you embody ripples outward into the collective field. The Atlanteans taught that remembrance was contagious. They described it as a single flame leaping from torch to torch until the entire temple blazed with light. One initiate's remembrance ignited remembrance in many others. And when enough souls remembered together, the collective destiny of an entire civilization shifted. Modern science is beginning to confirm this ancient truth. Biologists call it the morphic field, an invisible network of shared information that strengthens every time one consciousness expands. When one remembers, the field remembers. When one heals, the resonance of healing multiplies. When one surrenders to love, the entire grid of humanity vibrates more clearly. This is why your transformation feels urgent. Because it is not only your life at stake, it is the future of humanity. The Atlantean Code was never designed for a single initiate. It was written for a civilization. It was crafted to awaken the collective soul. Think of it as a cosmic orchestra. A single instrument cannot create a symphony. But when thousands tune to the same note, the very air begins to vibrate with harmony. Right now, more and more souls are tuning to remembrance, each one adding their tone, their flame, their frequency to the field. This is why you were called to this transmission, because your remembrance strengthens others. Your awakening amplifies the grid. Your voice adds power to the resonance of the collective field. You are not alone. You are one thread in the great tapestry of remembrance being rewoven on Earth. And know this, every time you declare, "I remember," you are not only collapsing your own timeline, you are shifting the resonance of humanity itself. You are adding your flame to the eternal fire that was never extinguished, the flame of Atlantis, waiting for this exact age of awakening. Atlantean activation. Anchor your part in the collective field by declaring, "My remembrance uplifts humanity. I awaken with the collective. I remember."
Chapter 15. The Atlantean Emergence.
There comes a moment in every sacred journey when the waiting ends, when the silence breaks, when the storm clears and the sky reveals its new dawn. The Atlanteans called this moment emergence, the first light after the long night, the sacred instant when the initiate stopped seeking and began radiating. Emergence is not something you force. The caterpillar does not push to become the butterfly. It dissolves, and then it emerges. The seed does not strain to break the soil. It rests in stillness until the soil can no longer contain it. The sun does not fight to rise. It emerges because it is its nature. And now emergence is your nature too. You are no longer the one who waits, who hopes, who tries. You are the one who remembers. You are the one who radiates. You are the one who embodies the Atlantean Code of Awakening. In Atlantis, this moment was celebrated as the first dawn ceremony. The initiates would walk out of the underground temples after days in darkness. Their eyes, accustomed to shadow, would suddenly meet the golden light of the sun cresting the horizon. That first ray on their skin was the sign. The old self had dissolved. The new self had emerged. They were no longer seekers of remembrance. They were carriers of it. This is happening to you now. Abilities you thought were impossible will surface naturally. Intuitions that once whispered will now speak with clarity. Relationships aligned with your highest destiny will magnetize effortlessly. Opportunities invisible yesterday will unfold as if they had always been waiting. Not because you forced them, not because you chased them, but because you have entered the state of Atlantean Emergence, where abundance is no longer the exception. It is your natural state. Emergence is the proof that remembrance is complete. It is the moment when your frequency no longer wavers, when your nervous system no longer vibrates with waiting, when the quantum field recognizes you as inevitable. You are not practicing anymore. You are embodying. You are not reaching. You are radiating. The night is over. The dawn has come. You are the flame that was never extinguished. You are the remembrance that was never lost. You are the emergence that humanity has been waiting for. Atlantean activation. Declare this truth into the field. I emerge as my Atlantean self. I radiate remembrance. I am the dawn.
Final Atlantean activation, the sealing of the code. You did not find this transmission by chance. You were called by remembrance, by destiny, by the Atlantean Code awakening inside your soul. Everything you have walked through, the silence of the void, the collapse of old timelines, the surrender at the threshold, the entanglement of soul and desire, the training of identity, the chaos of reorganization, the synchronization of timelines, and the sacred emergence into dawn, all of it has been preparing you for this exact moment. This is not just a video, this is an initiation. And now the initiation must be sealed. The Atlanteans knew that words spoken or written with intent collapse reality faster than thought alone. They carved their codes into crystal because they understood when the vibration leaves the heart, enters the breath, and becomes sound, it transforms the field itself. So now anchor this remembrance, not casually, not half-heartedly, but as a vow to the universe. Speak it, write it, declare it so the quantum field hears you. I am the flame of Atlantis. I remember. Feel the words move through your body. Let them vibrate in your bones. Let them ripple into the collective field. Know that every time another soul writes these words, the frequency multiplies. Their remembrance strengthens yours.
Your remembrance strengthens theirs. Together, we weave the Atlantean network back into being. And if these words ignited something inside you, if you felt the resonance of truth rising in your chest, then do not keep it for yourself. Share this transmission as an act of remembrance. Let others hear the call. Because the Atlanteans never awakened alone. They awakened as a people, as a civilization, as a collective flame. Subscribe not just to a channel, but to a frequency where remembrance is natural, where synchronicities are daily, where miracles are the order of reality. This is only the beginning. The transmissions will continue, but your awakening has already begun. Take one last deep breath. Place your hand over your heart. Whisper the code once more. I am the flame of Atlantis. I remember. And step forward now, not as the seeker, but as the awakened one.